What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to our weekly podcast. We are batting practice. I'm Josh. That's Jacob. As you will see, rocking duo today. Andrew coming back from up north this weekend, so shout out to him. But he won't be here, so we're just rocking the two of us. We got a great episode.
Do we?
We have a somber. That's my adjective of the week. A somber
There you go.
episode.
There you go.
I guess I don't know how else to describe it, but we'll get into all of that. A disappointing episode, not because of us though. We're not the
Not, yeah, we're
disappointing
great.
ones. Yeah, we're
We're
great.
we're here to appoint, not disappoint.
Yes, yes, exactly. But man, how you feeling? Are we doing all right? Are you over it?
Um, I guess just to apologize. Last week's episode, I was like, there's a pretty good chance we won't know who's in the World Series by the end of next week. And that holds true for one of the series, but not for the series that we cared about here most on the podcast. We're both wearing white today.
Should be wearing black.
We should be wearing black for the funeral, but instead wearing white because we surrender to Otani and the Dodgers of whatever this team is built around. They were injured all year. It doesn't matter. I keep saying it. They're inevitable. It's who they are in the postseason. We'll get into it in a second. We'll get into it in a second. I know a lot of people want to hear Brewers fans' reactions. And I feel like there haven't been too many of them out there. There's been a lot of Dodgers fans' reactions, a lot of Cubs fans' reactions. And you want me to be completely honest? I think they deserve to get clowned on. Everything except the Cubs fans being like, "Oh, we would have done a better job." Yeah, maybe you would have won a game or two. The Dodgers still would have beat the Cubs 100%. Blake Snell would have come up against your lefties and absolutely dominated them. Otani still would have hit home runs. And the Dodgers still to beat the Cubs anyways. That being said, the Cubs fans definitely have the right to clown on the Brewers because it was embarrassing. So we'll get into that in a bit, in a second. But yeah, other than that, that's sports, man.
Yeah.
That's life. That's sports. It brings you up and pulls you back down. I don't know if this
It
is gonna
does.
get the E logo next to the podcast, but what I described it to my friends is the beating the Cubs was like heroin, and
Mm.
then losing to the Dodgers was like withdrawal.
Mm.
And right now we're recovering from withdrawal. We're not addicted anymore,
Right.
but we're feeling the effects.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
I have a good it's sports related, but it's more like sports. Um, I was gonna say psychology, that's not the right word. Sports
Science?
lore
Lore. Okay.
or like it's a philosophical question surrounding sports, specifically sports teams that you root for. Would you rather your team be good but not good enough? Would you rather they be bad? Or I should say, would you rather they be good but not good enough? Would you rather they be mediocre? Or would you rather they be really bad?
I think the word you're
Because
looking for is philosophical here.
isn't that what I said? What did I
Yeah,
say?
I think that's
Yeah,
what you said
yeah,
originally.
philosophical, yeah. But like I think as someone who supports a lot of teams that are good but not good enough, it sometimes feels worse than if you're rooting for a team that's bad, which is crazy and probably sounds facetious or, you know, um, ignorant, but sometimes it feels that way. I have to be honest.
I mean, let's just go explain like real quick. Who are we talking about?
Like, for
We're talking
example,
about the
yeah,
Brewers making it to the postseason every year and not going past the CS not going past the DS in many cases as well. But if you want to expand into Wisconsin sports, you could talk about the Bucks won recently. How recently is still like recent enough to be like, yeah, we won in 2021. Like that was a good year. The Bucks have been the team since then that have been like, oh, make it to the playoffs, but that's about it.
Right.
I know that's similar with the hockey team that you like watching as well, the Minnesota Wild. Same exact case as the Brewers. They make it to the playoffs. They're fighting their way up. A couple of the years they're even not winning the division, but like it's hard to win the division in hockey. They're up there.
Right.
Yeah, they're up there. They're not in a wild card spot.
Right.
And they still don't make it. They lose to the Blues. They lose to the Blackhawks. Not anymore. The Blackhawks are trash. Um, but you get what I'm saying. They
Yeah.
come up against these teams that they're going to lose against on paper, and they do. And that's exactly what happened with the Brewers too. So I see where you're coming from. That being said, to be eternally mediocre, like, doesn't sound that great either. And bad is just like, come on. Who wants to be bad? I have been blessed, is that's the wrong word. I've been lucky enough to watch the Charlotte Hornets since moving here 5 years ago, and they are not great.
And the
They're pretty
Panthers.
bad. They're pretty bad. The Panthers, they made it to the Super Bowl in 2015, 2017, and got smoked, of course. Didn't win the Super Bowl, but yeah, it's I would rather be a fan of Wisconsin sports right now than North Carolina sports,
Yeah.
if that answers your question.
My follow-up to that would be, would you trade a Brewers World Series for 10 to 15 years of mediocre to bad baseball?
That's a good, like, let me reverse it on you. How many years do you need to
Right.
pass in order for it to be like enough to want to win another World Series? Like the Dodgers won last year
Right.
and they're looking real hot to win again this year.
Yeah, I think my two like favorite examples are the Nationals and the Royals. Both teams sold out for a World Series, which I appreciate. They went all in. It worked out in both of their favors, but have not really found success since then. And it's getting to the point where it's been a decent stretch for both teams where they haven't really had good baseball. But I still think I'd take it. I would say 15 years, maybe 10. 10 years of mediocrity for a World Series would be okay in my book. Think about when we grew up, right? The early 2000s and 2010s outside of 2008 and 2011 for the Brewers, bad. Very, very bad. Early 2000s Brewers baseball, bad. So you could say that's your 10-year span. They just never won the World Series after that. So it's tough. It's a tough situation to be in. It feels like they'll never climb the mountain.
Yeah. Um, and there's another thing too that goes along with that is like, what if they're not able to perform like they were this year? I mean, they won't. Will they be the best team in baseball next year as well? Probably
Probably
not.
not.
Probably not. So there's that aspect to think about as well. Yeah, I would say that you gotta win. 10 years of misery, but a win, we'll take it. The Packers haven't had 15 years of misery, but it's been 15 years since they won the Super Bowl.
It's been 15 years of heartbreak, which is
Yeah,
what I'm saying. Like,
right.
would you rather be bad and have zero expectation or be just good enough to then have your heart ripped out? Obviously, you'd rather be good and make the playoffs and all that stuff. I get that. It's just funny to think about like you're set up for failure where your team is good and you're like, "Hey, we're good. We made the playoffs. We won a series in the playoffs. That's amazing. We haven't done that in 6 years, 7 years. great. But then you're like, maybe we could win it all. And then they go and they get destroyed, and you're like, oh, now I'm heartbroken. So
Well, okay, let me ask you this.
Rockies fans weren't heartbroken this year. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah,
But they probably weren't happy either. So it's
right.
probably a lose-lose either way.
They were happy that they weren't the worst team ever. So,
True.
because it was really looking like it to start off the season. Let me ask you
True.
this. Would you rather be the Packers since 2010 or the Browns? You'd probably rather
Oh,
be the
yeah,
Packers.
the Packers for
Yeah.
sure.
So I think you're still going to want to be the better team at the end of the day. But after time and time again losing in similar fashion, um, getting smacked by the Dodgers, getting blasted by Polar Bear Pete last year, 2008 came to an end with CC, 2011 came to an end, 2018, 2019, or sorry, 2017, 2018, great seasons for the Brewers. Came to the end against the Dodgers. And it's the same story over and over. So I can definitely see where you're coming from. So I think with that, why don't we get in to Dodgers versus Brewers? And I think we start with the Dodgers because they deserve all the credit in the world. All the
Yep.
credit in the world. The starters had 35 strikeouts. Just starters had 35 strikeouts total. That's almost nine per pitcher. I believe it was 10, 10, 7, and 8 is how it went.
Wow.
Um, but don't worry, there were a couple games where the Brewers got a pitcher out early. A couple, there were two. Um,
Kind
Glasnow
of.
only went 5.2.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Otani only went 6. But the bullpen had 13 strikeouts in 12.1 innings as well. Yamamoto, complete game in Milwaukee in game two, gave up a first pitch home run to Jackson Chourio, and they didn't do anything else after that. Not one single thing. So shout out to Yamamoto. I believe he put up like 8 or 9 Ks as well.
Hmm.
And then how could we go without mentioning the main man himself? I have, oh no, I already packed it up. You know, I have that Otani Prism card that was the
Hmm.
10 graded. I had it listed
Hmm.
on eBay. Getting offers got them like last week for 250. Sold it for 325 last night.
Wow.
That
Wow.
card overnight went up $75 in price.
Crazy. Crazy.
So you can say what you want. You can talk about the gambling, but no. I mean, this is an argument for the best game ever. The best game by a single player ever. 10 strikeouts, 3 home runs. No one's ever done 10 strikeouts and 2 home runs before. And you're like, yeah,
Right.
of course no one has. I mean, Babe Ruth used to be a pitcher.
Right.
Babe Ruth
That's the
never did
only
that.
it's
Yeah,
the only other person that could
right.
have.
So Otani's in a league of his own. And that
Yeah.
makes it like one of the best, if not the best games ever. So the Dodgers definitely deserve some credit. Like, what else can you say?
Yeah, I think it's almost more frustrating that outside of game four, their 1 through 4 hitters really did not have a great series. They relied on guys like Tommy Edmond, Kike Hernandez, Andy Pajes to come up clutch for them, which I think is part of the reason what's so frustrating about the Dodgers is you hold down their 3 former MVPs and they don't have a great series and they're still beating you because they have 4 aces on their team and they have all-stars hitting ninth and they have Kike who's like the greatest postseason player ever for some reason. We talked about it. They somehow get something out of Tommy Edmond. Like, I don't know, it's just crazy how they are inevitable. That's the only word that feels adequate to describe them. Um, it feels like the NBA a little bit, where they don't care about the regular season. oh, Snell is out for like three-fourths of the year. Ah, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
We'll just win the division and then win every game in the playoffs because he's healthy and everyone else is healthy. Like it's just amazing how it always seems to come together for them. I really do think in baseball, especially, there is a an aura. I'm gonna say what the cool kids say these days
I don't know
about
if they still say
certain
that or not.
teams.
They
Is that
don't say
old
Riz
already?
anymore. They don't say Riz anymore.
So I'm taking over as an old head aura, or I can use aura.
Yes.
But teams just have an aura about them. They know how to win in big games. The Dodgers have it. The Brewers most definitely do not. But yeah, I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due. I think it's hard, or it should be expected, I guess. The Dodgers have four star pitchers that would be a number one pitcher on every other team. And they pitched how they were supposed to and more. So shout out to them. Fair enough.
You mentioned Tommy Edman. I mean, you can blame none other than your NL Central rival in the St. Louis Cardinals for giving him up basically for nothing after he won a Gold Glove with St. Louis, by the way.
Yeah.
They said, "Nah, see you later." And now he's on the Dodgers and he can hit home runs just when he wants to. It doesn't make any sense. Same with Kike. Yeah, we talked about him last week, and then he did exactly what you would expect him to do.
Yep.
Exactly what you would expect him to do. Two outs. He was in a two strike count with two outs against Freddie and grounds a ball, just takes it exactly back up the middle where it comes from. Gets a guy on first with two outs, and on Andy Pajes comes up, rips a double. Was it triple even? No, double down the line, scores Kike. Just like that. I mean, that started with Kike just battling up there with two strikes. And that's what he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the Dodgers for you. Should we just hop on over? I feel like we said, we're wearing white. We surrendered. We surrendered after game three. Um, it was pretty funny to listening to Talkin' Baseball, listening to Jake and Trevor Plouffe talk after game three. The Dodgers were up 3-0. Jake asked Trevor Plouffe, "What can the Brewers do to bring this back?" And he said nothing. And he was right.
Yeah.
He was right. They were lost. The hitters were completely lost. It did not matter how good the pitching could have been. The Dodgers only needed 2 runs a game to win every game of the series. Um, yeah, sure, it was a combination of one of the best pitching performances ever, but also the lowest batting average in any championship series ever of 118 put up by the Brewers. So one of the worst offensive performances ever. Combination of the two. Um, let's throw it back because I want to say this started with the Cubs series. The Brewers in the first game played Brewers baseball. They fought up there, they grounded balls through holes, they took advantage of errors. They battled at the plate, and I don't think they hit too many home runs either in game 1. And they won 9-3, put up 13 hits. And then game 2, all the runs were scored off of home runs if I remember correctly. They did score 7, but they were 3 home runs, I believe, or something like that.
I think so.
Um, and then they went to Wrigley and kind of stunk it up on offense. Didn't do
Yep.
like they should not have scored a run. They scored a run on this goofy infield fly that wasn't ruled an infield fly because nobody knew where it was. The right call, by the way. So shout out to the umps,
Hmm.
but that shouldn't have been a run. And then Bowers hit a home run and they relied on the home run again. And then they came back, and even in game 5, 3 runs to 1, they won. But guess what? It was 3 solo shots as well. There was no Brewers baseball being played since game 1 of the Cubs series. So what do you think about that? Do you
Yeah,
agree?
I 100% agree. I'm kind of dumbfounded by the Brewers' approach in the Dodgers series. I get it, man. Like Yamamoto, amazing. Snell, amazing. Glass now pitched great. Otani pitched great. Like I get it. I get it. These are top pitchers in the league. But what did the Brewers do all year? What did they do all year? They had great approaches. They fouled pitches off, deep in counts. And what did we hear about this series against the Dodgers? Get into the bullpen. The Dodgers bullpen is their one flaw. It's their one area of weakness. So just get into the bullpen. Boy, they sure didn't do that.
They did not.
But the only way they could have was to make the pitchers throw more pitches. I have never seen a team that had such great approaches for a 162 game sample size. Maybe take out the first three games at Yankee Stadium. So 159 game sample size where their approaches were amazing. They were great. They made pitchers work. That's what they did. That was their mantra. And then they go into this series and they do the complete opposite. How many times did we see a hitter take fastball down the middle, swing at a curveball that bounced, and then take another fastball down the middle? I've never seen such bad at bats from any team in the postseason, let alone a team that was known as one of the better teams in baseball at doing the opposite. It was shocking, honestly.
Yeah, there's an at bat that comes to mind specifically is I think Sal Frelick was up. It was Sal Frelick. Sal Frelick was up, and there were runners, question mark. There was at least one runner on. There might have been more than one runner on. Maybe there's a guy on first and second. But let's say that there was just a guy on first or just a guy in second. I think there might have been a guy in scoring position. Uh, Battles versus Yamamoto gets to a 3-2 count, and Yamamoto just lobs a curveball right down the middle. I mean, middle, middle. If this is MLB The Show, it's hitting that middle square right in the middle. And Frelick just takes it. He's like, what am I supposed to do? It's 3-2, and he threw a pitch that started at my head and dropped down to my waist. They were completely lost. I feel like that's an at bat that they play during they play against the Dodgers during the season. That's an at bat that ends completely differently. But
Yeah.
this series was just completely outmatched, completely outmatched. 48 total strikeouts out of 108 outs. The average
Half.
MLB, it's almost half, yeah. MLB strikeout ratio is about like 8 per game, and the Brewers struck out 12 times per game.
Yeah. Not a recipe for success at all.
Mm-mm.
It's just, yeah, I don't understand how it was so different. I don't, that's the one thing that I can't wrap my head around. And that kind of sticks with me as we're a couple games or a couple days out from the final game. Like, how could it have been so different? Yes, you're facing the best pitchers in the league, but at the same time, like, why are you changing your approach then? I get that that plays a role, but it can't be the only thing. It can't just be we face better pitching. Like, no, you gave up on your plan of attack that you used all year to win the most games in MLB.
Right. Like you faced Shota Imanaga against the Cubs. You did just fine against him.
Right. Matthew Boyd. Like, yeah,
Yeah, you
like you
did just
faced
fine
great
against
pitching.
him.
Yeah. Yeah. We swept the
Um,
Dodgers. You didn't face Snell. Last time
right,
we faced Yamamoto, you knocked him out in the first inning.
right.
Well, so what changed? They're
What
just better. The
changed?
Dodgers are just better. It's the
Yes,
postseason, so they lock in.
it's the
So
postseason. Yes, that is the answer.
but why
That's the
can't
answer.
why is it only the Dodgers? Why don't other teams do this?
Oh, we're not getting a season in 2027, are we?
No,
Uh,
I can't. I'm going to say this now. I can't wait for our offseason discussions on salary cap, the CBA, lockouts. I'm excited for that because I'm curious to hear yours and Andrew's opinions on it, but we can't get into it just yet. But I'm excited to talk about it.
all I'm gonna say is I think Bryce Harper's coming in hot. He left
100%.
hot and he's coming back in hot.
100%.
But let me read off to you some stats real quick.
Here we go.
Um, The batting average I already mentioned, 118, the lowest ever in the playoff series. Not just the championship series, the lowest ever for a playoff series lasting 3 games or longer. So that includes division series and wild card series that before they changed all the rules. If there was a wild card series that lasted 3 games or longer, like now, no one's ever batted 118. 118. Everyone looked lost. It was swinging at balls and looking at strikes and doing that over and over and over again. William Contreras, known for battling up at the plate, has a great two-strike approach, one of the best two-strike approaches in the league. 2 for 14 with 4 strikeouts. Sal Frelick, another one, great two-strike approach, hit almost 300 this year, had the best batting average on the Brewers this year, was almost fighting for a batting title for a little bit in the NL because no one can hit 300 in the NL. 1 for 14 with 3 Ks. Andrew Vaughn built up a name for himself since he got traded to the Brewers. Did not have a single hit. 0 for 12 with 2 strikeouts. Did hit a couple balls kind of hard. Did get unlucky a couple of times, but hey, even if 2 of those get through, it's still 2 for 12.
Yeah.
um, Bryce Terang, who we'll talk about in a sec, 1 for 15 with 6 strikeouts. He strikes out a little bit more than the other players mentioned above, but 1 for 15 with 6 strikeouts, that's just not the Bryce Terang we came to know and love. And then maybe the most damning of them all, Christian Yelich, 1 for 14 with 7 strikeouts. Half of his at-bats against the Dodgers resulted in strikeouts. Like, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed
I
to
don't know.
do? Like, there were no two-strike approaches. It was just guessing. It was just straight up guessing.
Yeah, it might be time to have a conversation about Christian Yelich. It might be
Had a
because his
great season. Had
great
his
season
best season in a long time.
doesn't matter. This is exactly what I'm talking about with the Dodgers. They could have the worst regular season ever. Mookie Betts, terrible season. Freddie Freeman, terrible season. Ohtani, terrible season. Doesn't matter. As long as they win 87 or more games and make the playoffs, no, it doesn't matter what happens in the regular season. Christian Yelich, great season. You're probably 15 batting average points away from getting MVP votes. 29 homers, over 100 RBIs. Hit 270, I want to say. Like close to getting MVP votes, you could argue. And then he sucks in the playoffs. And that's all we're going to remember is how terrible he was in the playoffs, how bad he has been in the playoffs at his tenure in Milwaukee. Hasn't had a postseason RBI since 2018. His first game, first ever postseason game in 2018. He had 2 RBIs, and he hasn't had a single one since. That's your guy. That's your $200 million man. That's your one Dodgers contract in your entire organization, and he sucks in the postseason. What are you supposed to do? What's going to change?
What
What do you change?
he cracks under pressure. Maybe he's just nervous. I don't know. There's
That's
no
yeah,
excuse for being
right?
nervous. You're getting paid that much. It's the postseason.
Like, do you think the Brewers like game one, you come out, you kind of get punched in the mouth a little bit. You make it kind of interesting at the end. Like and then you fall short. Are you like shell shocked and then you just suck the rest of the series? Like a good team would get punched in the mouth and come back and win some
No,
games.
no.
Let's look at the
Let's.
Blue
I was gonna
Jays.
say, let's look at the other side of baseball right now.
So what is it then? Like, is it a mentality? Like, are the Brewers going into these games thinking, oh, like good season, we beat the Cubs, yay. Now we have to face the Dodgers, darn, they're our big brother. They're gonna just big brother us to a sweep. I don't think they think like that, but deep down, are they like scared?
They can't be
I
scared. They just
There's bad. They just
they
got
were
they just got
outmatched.
better
They were
team.
outmatched. The Dodgers are a better team.
So
It
why
doesn't
did we
matter.
sweep them in the regular season?
They had injuries.
Health?
It doesn't matter. The regular season,
That's what I'm saying.
the
That's what I'm
regular
saying.
season, Dodgers, it doesn't matter to them as long as they make the postseason.
Is
Otani was pitching
there
like 2 or 3 innings at a time. You know how many he pitched against the Brewers? He pitched six.
true?
And I
Do
bet you
you
he'll be available out of the bullpen on days he's not starting, unless he goes long again in the World
right?
Series.
Do you see yourself? I mean, we're bigger baseball fans than most people. I think that's pretty safe to say. Do you see yourself getting into the Brewers like at the beginning of next season? I feel
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
there's always
Absolutely.
hype going
100%.
in. But what's the point? What's the point of getting invested in that?
What's the point of anything? Let me just like
Sure, but like I think the days of like really like getting invested into early season or mid-season games are over. For me, I think I'll watch, but I'm not going to sit there and get upset when McGill gives up a game-tying two-run homer in late May. It's kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. This game doesn't matter.
it's not that the game doesn't matter because I don't think the Brewers are going to put up 95, 96 wins again next year.
True.
They're going to matter definitely more. Now, A, this team has a little more playoff experience. They're going to come back with a vengeance. They did beat their rivals in the Cubs. Like,
True.
sure, that was their World Series, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
Um, and they flew the wrong L flag, which triggered the entire
Very
city of
triggered.
Chicago
Very triggered.
because the colors were inverted.
Very
But
triggered.
they have experience under their belt and they're going to come back with a vengeance. You still want to beat the Cubs during the regular season too. You still want to beat the Cardinals during the regular season too. You want to come up against the Pirates. If you face Paul Skeens, you want to put up as many hits against them as you can. Um, yes, in the grand scheme of things, it's to me it's like the same thing as saying your vote doesn't matter. A
Sure.
game doesn't matter.
Sure.
Sure. In a large enough sample size, one game is not going to make or break things. But all of a sudden, if McGill starts giving up home run after home run after home run, and they lose like the Twins won 13 games in a row this year
Yeah.
and then sucked. If they start to lose a lot of games in the row like the Twins did, then you'll be concerned because in the middle of the season, we would have said the Twins are absolutely making the postseason. They didn't even make the postseason. So regular season absolutely still matters. And catch me subscribing again to MLB TV and watching games because I can. But that being said, the Brewers really do need to come back next year and do something. Because if you come back next year and say you miss the playoffs and the Cubs make the playoffs, it's just even more clowning coming down or coming up, I guess, from Chicago. Even more.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So next year you got to do something. Next year you're going to have to come back strong and put up some big numbers.
Yeah.
Um, we do have a bit of a silver lining from the Dodgers series. Jacob Mizorowski pitched
Yeah.
5 innings, put up 9 strikeouts with 3 hits and 1 run in relief in game three. And if this series would have gone longer, we would have definitely seen more of him come out of the bullpen. And he looked really good. He looked pretty good against the Cubs, too. And that was a definite silver lining for us as Brewers fans. This was his first year. He had zero playoff experience, just like some of these guys. Some of these
Right.
guys were on the team last year and at least got to get a taste, a little bit of a taste. Sal
Right.
Frelick has a homer in last year's postseason, for example. Um, but Miz had never pitched, and he came in and did very well under the pressure against the
Yep.
Dodgers. 9 Ks against the Dodgers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, again, I struggle a little bit with the whole the future is bright thing, but a lot of the young guys got great experience playing two great teams in the Cubs and the Dodgers. It'll only bode well for future playoff experience. That being said, the future is bright, yes, but the future is not guaranteed. which I think people need to remember. This is the same Brewers team that has traded their key pieces away every year, basically, in the last 5 years. There's a real world possibility where Freddie Peralta's not on the team next year. And that's your ace. You're losing your ace. So, yes, the future is bright. I am still bullish on the Brewers, but it is never, ever guaranteed
Nope. Unless you're the Dodgers.
unless you're the
Um,
Dodgers, unless you're
Real
inevitable.
quick, game three, Jackson Churio's batting and gets injured, like pulls his hamstring and has to come out, and then he plays the next day. Um, how do we feel about that? Because it's like it's the biggest game of the season. Every game in that series was the Brewers' biggest game of the season,
Right.
and they lost all of them. And Churio comes out with a cramp and then comes back in the next day. Can you you're a physical therapist. Can you re-aggravate like a cramp? Can that leave thing worse? Or is him coming out for a cramp like kind of like, dude, what are you doing? It's the postseason. You're the one of the best hitters on the team, if not the best. Um, Definitely had some of the hardest hit balls in the series.
Right. I think
What's
it's
up with that?
it's more so the fact that they you can't get it to stop until you get fluids going, you stretch it out. Not something you can do in the middle of an at bat on the field. So I
Gotcha.
think it was more so an instance where you just can't get that cramp to stop and you can't really swing with on one leg.
Yeah, right.
If you've ever, I know we've both had cramps before, but it's a pretty painful experience.
Just two dudes
Um,
talking about
just to,
cramps, you know?
yeah, exactly. But it's pretty painful and it's relatively debilitating to have a cramp, especially in your hamstring, on your plant leg. So it's tough. I think everyone was happy it was just cramps and not re-aggravating that hamstring strain that he had. It's something to look out for though in the future if that's going to be a continual issue. Once you strain it, it's easier to strain again, and that's true for the future for him. So something to look out for. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, other than that, I think that pretty much wraps up the series. What else can you say as Brewers fans?
yeah,
You want to hear a dumb stat?
yeah.
In game four, the Brewers had 941 total feet of hits.
Wow,
Otani
Otani
had
had more.
1,342 feet of home runs.
Nice, good, really
So
good. It's a good stat.
not only were the Brewers not hitting, but they had 5 hits in game five. Traveled a distance of less than 200 each. They weren't line driving the ball. They weren't hitting home runs. They were trying to hit home runs, but they weren't hitting home runs. Yeah, just it's a dumb stat, but it's kind of fun to think like Otani hit the ball further than the entire Brewers team did in that last game. Also, hits per game. Game one, two, game two, three, game three, four, game four, five. Two, three, four, five in one, two,
Well,
three, four. How about
there
that?
you go.
That was kind of fun. Kind of another dumb
Fun.
stat. Before we end this, before we hop into the pickle, Nosh, we still got another series to talk about. The Mariners were up 2-0 and going home and then lose two straight against the Blue Jays. They do take game five, and currently, as of recording this, it's Mariners 3, Blue Jays 2. Game five, or sorry, game six going on tonight. And then game seven will be tomorrow. So it will be over by the time this podcast is uploaded. But who you got? Are the Mariners going to do it? Are they finally going to do it? Or are the Blue Jays going to come back home and be like, see you later. We're the better team. What do you think?
It's crazy because Mariners had all of the momentum going up 2-0. Then they lose all the momentum, losing first two at home. Then they get it back by winning the third game at home. So it's kind of amazing how much it's flip-flopped in this series. But I think the Mariners do it. I think they pull it out. I actually think this goes to game seven and the Mariners win game seven.
Interesting. So you think Blue Jays got tonight, but then the M's win tomorrow. I like it. I could see it going either way. I could still see the Blue Jays very easily coming home and scoring like 10 runs a game, like they did
Sure.
against the Yankees, and make it to the World Series pretty easily. I could also see it Mariners just ending it tonight, being like, let's go. Let's go win our first World Series ever. And let's go come up against the big bad Dodgers. I want, I as a Brewers fan, I don't really care.
I
I
was
would
gonna
be
say, would you feel better?
the only thing that would lean me towards the Mariners is that they've never won a World Series and the Blue Jays have. The Blue Jays won in the 90s. The Mariners have never won.
Yeah. Would you feel better if the Dodgers just destroy whoever they face or if they lose?
Oh, if they lose, 100%. If they come out and sweep the World Series too, I think that leads to even more interesting discussions in the offseason. But if it's competitive, then that might lesser the blow for those proponents of a salary cap. So I don't know. Blue Jays also have a high payroll too.
Very, very high. Toronto is like one of the biggest metropolitan areas in the MLB.
In the United States, or sorry, in America, not in the United
Whoa.
States,
Whoa.
soon to be in the United States, soon to be in the United States. Um, no, the thing is about the Mariners is that they're in the same boat as like 2008 Brewers, where they went ahead at the deadline and they got Josh Naylor, they got Eugenio Suarez back. And guess who came up big? Guess who's batting like almost 500 in the postseason, first and foremost? Josh Naylor. Guess who hit a grand slam to pretty much put away game five? Gino Suarez. These guys are coming through that they picked up at the deadline. So shout out to the Mariners for going in a little bit, something that the Brewers did not.
Right.
Um, and yeah, what do
Shout
you
out.
shout out to the Mariners? I think that's all we have to say about this series. I really think the Blue Jays could come back and win this pretty easily. But I'll be excited
See,
for the Mariners if they do it. I'll be excited for the Mariners if they do it for sure. All right. Well, before we get on to the pickle here, this day in history is kind of dwindling down because not many games take place the later on to the season as you get. But a real quick one here in the 1985 World Series,
ooh.
on October 19th, the day of recording this, Lonnie Smith became the first ever player in MLB history to play in the World Series against the team that traded him earlier that season.
Oh,
So he played for the Royals in the World Series, and he was traded to the Royals from their state rival, the St. Louis Cardinals. And then in 1985, the Cardinals came up against the Brewers in the World Series in 1982, by the way, played the Kansas City Royals. How about that? And Lonnie Smith
wow.
got to see all of his teammates sitting in the dugout there on the other side of the field. And yeah, so poor Lonnie Smith, because in 1985, if I stand correctly, the Cardinals, no, the Royals won the World Series. Just kidding. The Royals won the World Series, meaning
Wow.
that Lonnie Smith was traded to the right team.
There you go.
So how about that?
It's like the ultimate, like, stick it to your old team. Win against them on the biggest stage. I love it. Revenge, ultimate revenge game.
Speaking of the biggest stage, shout out to North Carolina Panthers.
Heck yeah. 4-3.
4-3.
Amazing.
Jets 0-7. Yikes.
Yikes.
Bad game today.
Yikes.
13-6. Bad game today. Bad game today.
Panthers playoffs? Question mark?
Don't say that. Sports radio Charlotte will go crazy. Um, I don't think it's fair to guess anyone else, even though I hate guessing Otani on the first guess because he's a two-way player, but I think we have to guess Otani.
I think that's fair. Well, there's like no players found. Like,
Japan.
wow. It's Imanaga.
It has to be. Lefty lefty. Oh, but the age is different.
Oh gosh, okay. Is it oh no, it's the an AL West.
Sugano? Sugano's a righty, right?
Yep.
Wait, who are we
AL
forgetting about?
West. AL West.
Oh, it's
Who?
Yusei Kikuchi on my so
Uh
rare team. Ki. There
wow.
we go. There
Dude,
we go.
Japan was
What a guess,
actually yeah.
Otani.
Yeah, that was actually
What a
super
great
helpful.
first guess. Yeah.
Wow.
All
Amazing.
right. There you have it.
We've been killing the pickle
The
lately, I feel
pickle has
like.
been great. Yeah, our pickle game's been on point recently.
Heck yeah. I love it. All right. Well, there you have it. By this time next week, we'll know the World Series. We'll have a couple games of the World Series under our belt. Um, safe to say that we'll be rooting for the AL team this year.
Yeah, I think most
Um,
of everyone will be. Most of the entire world will be.
I think
Except
that's
for
fair to say,
Japan. Probably not
except for
Japan.
Japan. True. Very true. Well, there you go. Let us know who you think is going to be in the World Series and who is going to win the World Series this year. Leave a rating wherever you're listening to our podcast. Go subscribe to the social medias. And until next week, you just attended batting practice. Now you're ready to get in the game. Peace.
Peace.